welcome to this Way to Fire YouTube video. It's me, Andy. I haven't done one of these for a little while because of some personal things about moving house and then doing a lot of work on my house. But I thought it would be good to come back with this one, which is Firefight. So this is the new two-player starter set for Firefight, Mantic Games' second edition of their science fiction squad-based game. I think, before we do anything else, it's just going to be an unboxing. I'm not going to go into too much detail about the game because, as you will see, I wrote it. So therefore, bear that in mind. Obviously, when I look through this, I'm going to probably naturally be fairly positive about the game. So this will be an unboxing, and I know lots of people have done unboxings before, but if you haven't seen one, then you can have a look at this one. So anyway, this is the two-player starter set. It's a pretty hefty chunk of stuff. I don't know how much it actually weighs, which is a couple of kilos, I think. Some lovely new art on the front. We've got the Enforcers versus the Marauders, and they are the two factions inside this starter set. It's a glossy, high-quality production. You can see here on the back it's got the contents. So what have we got? We've got 40 Marauders, 4 of these Ripper suits. These are older models, these ones here, but the 40 new hard plastic ones these are brand new, and they're the only place you can get them at the moment, although I'm sure they'll be available very soon as individual sprues. There's also 20 of these Enforcers, which can be built in different ways, 2 jet bikes, and a group of these Pathfinders as well. And then obviously you've got the rulebook and then the force list. So all of the factions that you can play, and there are 7 playable factions, are all in this one book. So everything you need is available in this one box set. You can buy just the books and the tokens separately without the miniatures. There's a deal for that as well. They call it a Veterans Bundle. And one of the other key things you'll notice as well, if you're used to Mantic Games, is that these use D8, so similar to Dead Zone, and there are these command dice which are very similar to those used in Vanguard or The Walking Dead, other games by Mantic. So you'll see a lot of things have been brought across from other Mantic games. Right, so let's have a little look inside. So it's just a sleeve cover, and inside you've got a plain cardboard box. This is the new, cheaper way of packaging a lot of things, I've noticed. And then we open it up and we have a wealth of stuff, effectively. So what have we got? Let's start with ones that we've probably seen before. So we've got the Peacekeepers. These are the sort of chunkier models. I'll open one up. So these come as 2 sprues with these chunkier torsos here. And you can see there's a bunch of different weapon options, from their normal sort of Peacekeeper guns to flamers, burst lasers, and some different heads and equipment. And then there's the legs on a separate sprue. There's 5 models with other torso there. Some different weapon loadouts, energy gauntlets and wrist blades. And then you'll notice as well at the top here there are some defender shields. So these defender shields will either fit onto these Peacekeepers, or you can use them on the standard Enforcers to build them in a different way as well. Then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sprues of standard Enforcers. So that's going to be 5 in each of those packs, so there's a good number of Enforcers there. We'll open one of those now. And again, 2 hard plastic sprues. We've got the torsos, 5 torsos here, and a series of legs and arms. And then we've got some more arms and heads on this one here. So these are, again, you've got a flamer, you've got a burst laser, you've got some of these wrist blades, so you can make the close assault versions, and then you've got the normal guns for the sort of standard operatives. What else have we got? Sticking with the Enforcers, we've got a pack of 2 jet bikes. I won't take that one apart because there's lots of small bits, but they can be built with a number of different weapons underneath, either normal rifles, or they can be done with missile launchers and things like that. Let's get on to some Marauder goodness. So Marauders are your space orcs, effectively. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hard plastic sprues there of the brand new Marauders. Again, let's open one of these up, take a look inside, and you can see, so there were 4 and there are 10 on each sprue here, so you can see 10 chunky torsos here. So we've got 5 different styles of torso, but you can see a whole range of different equipment here. We've got axes, what else have we got? We've got claws, like these little ripper claws. We've got actual sort of pinching claws, small pistols for the brawler versions, and then we've got rifles for the standard marauder options. On the next sprue we've got, let's turn it this way, a whole bunch of heads here. We've only got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 50, 13 heads, sorry, 13 heads. Again, we've got a heavy machine gun, we've got some knives, we've got a flamer, and we've got the new missile launcher, which is a cool new addition to the Marauders. So yeah, they look pretty tasty. I'm going to enjoy putting those together. We also have 2 packs of Ripper suits, so that will make a total of 4 Rippers. Can be built either as the Maulers, the close combat ones, or as the Rainmakers, so you're going to end up with 2 and 2. They were shown on the back of the box. What else have we got? We've got a whole bunch of bases. You know, these are great bases. If you want to use resin base or something like that, obviously that would be very nice. And all of these models have feet that can be glued straight onto a base. We've got the D8s. So D8s, okay, not a D6 game, it's a D8 game. Unlike in Dead Zone, the 8s don't explode if you're used to playing that, but the 8s do give a wider range, obviously, of results. What else have we got in here? We've got some MDF bases. That's because the Peacekeepers and the Maulers and Rainmakers will need bigger bases, so that's just for them. And then we've got some more dice here. So these are the command dice. So you can see there's 3 different colours. We've got a large number of the black ones, which are the more basic ones. You can see there's these energy swords on them. Either 0, 1 or 2 energy swords. And then we've got the orange ones, which are slightly better. So they still have a blank face, but they have more 1s and more 2s on them. And then the best dice is this lime green one, which doesn't have any blanks and has 2s, 1s and 2s, but also has a 3 on it as well. So that is the strongest dice. So you would take a number, you would take a number of dice that you get anyway, and then you would have extra ones for the number of commanders or the quality of the commanders that you've got. So yes, you roll your dice at the beginning of each round, you get the number of points, and you use those points to activate orders and things like that. Right, we will come back in a second and look at the books themselves. So this is the quick start set of rules that comes inside. So it gives you some sample strike forces with an enforcer one and the marauder one that you can build easily from the stuff in the core set. It's about, yeah, just under 800 points for each of those 2 factions, and it's suggested to play on a 4x4 table. This is a game designed really for experienced gamers, I think, rather than true beginners. So there's no terrain in there, sort of expectation that people will have some of that themselves. A great new addition for Mantic is to have these exploded diagrams of how to put your different models together from the core set, so you can see how we can lay out a different captain using the same sprue as the orcs, how to make a brawler, how to make a commando with the heavy options, and so on. And then we've got the profiles both for the marauders and for the assault enforcers for the all of the stats that you need, not the full stats, but only the stats you need to play with the suggested 2-player starter set. And then we've got the mission, which is control the intel, which is a fairly standard mission. And we've got a brief 2 pages really of how to actually play the game. So would suggest that you read the rulebook, of course, but this will be a good aid memoir whilst you're playing your first game. And you can see some more on the back, including the special rules that are associated with the models that are in the pre-built list. So that's a really nice, smart little getting started folder, I think. Very, very good, very helpful to have. Let's look at the tokens now. So they come in a cellophane wrap, but let's take them out of there. There's not a lot to see that's different on either side, if I recall, but let's have a look. So these are pretty about 2mm hard card. So you can see here we've got a number of activations, some wounds, hit the dirt, pinned markers, forgot which one these ones are actually, we'll come to that in the rulebook. And you can see on the back side there are the wounds can be flipped to show more wounds. As most models only have one wound, you shouldn't need most of these except for the vehicles and the big monsters. This at the bottom here is a smoke cloud, smoke on this side and a toxic smoke cloud on that side. And you can see there's another one there because it may well be necessary to have more than one. And what you do is you place them together on the tabletop should you need them. These here are different colours on different sides. These are effectively your objectives. If you don't have anything else, I mean, I will use scenic things which I've built, which will be a little bit more attractive perhaps. But it's nice that there are 4 different colour types, so you know you can choose something that fits more suitably with what you're playing with. But these are 40mm wide. So that's the card tokens, not the most exciting thing, I'll appreciate. And then we've got the 2 books. We've got the rulebook and the force list. Okay, so let's go through the rulebook first. And like I said, I am not going to go through every detail of these rulebooks. I am just going to effectively do a flip through. But what I will show is that you can see here that the rules really only go up to page, let's say page 40, and they don't really even start until page 10. So it's about 30 pages of rules, and then the book itself has a large number of missions. It has 16 missions in total, and then a lot of fluff. Page 66 to page 104 is fluff, and you might recognise a lot of that fluff if you've had the Warpath source book from previous editions, but there's some new stuff in there as well. So we're just going to have a little look through. I think you'll agree that I think they pulled it out of the park here with the quality of the production. I think it looks really nice. You've got stat profiles, walking you through very basic stuff. Some of these really nice paint over things that they've been using recently as well. And then again a walkthrough of orders. One of the most important things about Firefight is the way that it's not really about heroes, it's more about how the leaders use their orders to get the most from their troops. And again we'll just sort of go through again a really nice sort of paint over art. And there's some really great new art in here as well. But like I said, I'm not going to go through every detail of the rules. I'm probably going to do another sit down and discuss about the theory behind how we got to the rules. But I'll do that on a different video. So some of this art you will recognise from Dead Zone, because they just had a new edition as well. This I will mention, so this is the keywords that I used. There was a conscious effort on my part to try and make sure that we used what had already there, so people were familiar with it, but also that we used things that were recognised by people who play other Mantic games, so from Kings of War for instance, and from Dead Zone of course. So you'll hopefully recognise a lot of those words and how they interact is similar. I won't guarantee they're the same. These are all the different missions. You can see how they've been laid out to make it clear, and there are missions split into both sort of competitive missions, maybe for tournament play, and then there are narrative missions which are perhaps for more interesting, friendly games. Some nice art again there, the new Marauders style, and then we're into the fluff. So this is a lot of nice fluff for all the different factions that are in the core rulebook. Okay, so like I say, I wasn't going to talk through the actual rules themselves and how they play, but you'll get an idea of what it actually looks like. So, the force lists. 124 pages here. Again, everything you'll need to play the 7 different factions. So, Asterians, Enforcers, Forge Fathers, GCPS, Marauders, Plague, and Veermen. I mean, that really is a lot. There are other factions in Dead Zone, they're a smaller game, but they haven't come across yet to this scale because, from a production point of view, really, they haven't got hard plastics, so it's harder to bring them into the bigger scale game. It tells you how you build a list, and again we've got a sample here of all the different ways it's laid out for different options. So you get a commander that's free, and then for every troop you can get another command or specialist unit, and for every 2 command specialists or troops you can get support. So fairly straightforward and simple to build your list. When we come to actually look at the list, you'll see here it's all laid out. You get a line at the top which shows you the stat profile, then you get the different weapons they can have, underneath any options they may have, and at the bottom if there's different weapon options, what the stat profiles of those are. So we're not going to go through everything here because there is a lot, but there's some lovely art showing you some miniatures from the studio to give you a feel of what a faction would look like. So we'll just pick one of these here. Let's take the ciphers. So that was the one we just showed a minute ago. So ciphers, you can see that they tell you that there's a troop. They've got the speed of 6 and 12, so 6 on an advance action, 12 on a run action. Their shoot stat, so 3+ on an 8-sided dice is pretty good. Assault, not so good. Armor. Now oddly, this is the other way around. So in Dead Zone, an armor of 6 would be bad, but it's actually quite good here because your opponent needs to beat or equal or exceed that number. A number of hit points, so just the 1 in this case. Nerve, height, so there's a psychology element in this game, which there hasn't been in other Dead Zone, for instance. Base size, unit strength, points, and again the weapons they have. So 1 dice, range 8 on this no rifle, and then they can upgrade with other options down below. What I will show here is the faction order. So each faction has 3 orders, and they can be boosted, some of them. The Asterians are the only faction that all 3 can be boosted, because they're proper clever like. And the cost here of how many command points it costs will tell you, give a rough idea of how effective it is. The boosted versions always cost more, and they generally get better, obviously, from compared to the standard version. You can see here again we've got specialists. Note things like vehicles. Some vehicles are in troop selections, so you could, if you wanted, run an entirely motorized army for some of these factions. I don't think it would necessarily be the best, but you could certainly run that if you wanted. And then we get on further on, these are more specialists. We get on to support options here, sorry, so Spectra and the Chroma, which is their big flying tank. And then we get to the command options at the back. And you'll notice the command options often have tactician with a dice next to it. This one's a black one, this one's an orange one, this one's a green one. Telling you how high quality the extra benefit of having that commander is. So black is the basic one, orange is a reasonable one, the mid-level one, and then this lime green is the best you can get. This guy, interestingly, the Overseer, which is a new model as well, he gets the green one, and he can even be upgraded to take his pal, who also brings an orange one, so he is pretty tasty. And then at the end of that, there's another leader there. At the end of that we get some art, sorry, not art, we get some more pictures of the different types of vehicles and so on. So this is a Kira transporter, these are the troops, these are the commanders, these are the specialists, and these are the support. And you can see it's really nice to show you the different weapons, but also to give you an idea of paint schemes and things like that you might want to follow. You don't have to, there's no set things or anything like that, you can paint your models however you wish. Now, a bit more art as well, and then I'm not going to go for everyone, but we've got the Enforcers, again very similar layout there. We've got some example models, including again another new model here, so there are a few new models in this game. Not masses, we just had a whole new bunch with Dead Zone, so not huge numbers, but there are some. Then we got the Forge Fathers, the Space Dwarves. And you can see again lots of cool tanks. These Artificers came out relatively recently. The GCPS, so this is a sort of human corporation armies. lots of bodies, lots of tech, not necessarily particularly strong or anything. And again, we've got some new models here with a riot trooper, for instance, and this leader. The Marauders, so these are the ones with the new hard plastics I showed before. And you see some examples of some painted new hard plastics here. And they get a couple of new leader models as well, which actually aren't out yet. And a new skyscraper model as well, on a larger base, you'll notice. A few upgrades as well. This mule is got a slightly different loadout with the HMGs and the Marauder on it, so that's going to be interesting to see your mules change their style a little bit. Onto the Plague. Plague are these infected humans and other species. Not much in the way of shooting, but they've got a lot of gribbly in-your-face nastiness, and again we can see there's new models here which haven't actually been released yet. They're coming out anytime soon, I think. And then finally we've got the Vermin, which is your space rats. And again we can see cool new models, this lovely new pack leader model, and these brood guard who are pretty nice as well. So yeah, there we are, just a few bits more of art to finish the book. So that is the 2 books. That's all you'll ever need to play Firefight. Now I believe the plan is that over time, as new models get added or things need to be adjusted because of game meta, the rulebook will stay the same, but the force lists will perhaps be updated, maybe with an errata every 12-18 months or something like that, similar to what they do with Kings of War. That certainly is the plan that I've been told anyway. So great, thank you very much for watching. Like I say, I'm not going to go into too much detail. I was involved in it, so heavily involved in it, so you know, bear that in mind obviously when looking at this. But I hope you like the look of the product. I think they've put it together really, really well, and I think you'll like the game once you get to play it as well. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye.